out!
What? No chit-chat or monologue? Just getting right to the point, huh?
What's good, YouTube? And welcome back. Today I've got a juicy one for you. Devil May Cry 5. The 5th installment of the main series. 6th installment if you count the DMC thing that they did. I don't. I was never a fan. So I was excited to see the true Devil May Cry sequel to the 4th one, technically 2nd one. It's all kind of screwed up. But the 5th game, it is, in my opinion, a very good game. Here you have Nero, which is the first character that you play as, which is kind of like a sore subject for me because Devil May Cry to me has always been about playing Dante. Dante was my favorite character, but anyways, we'll get to him in a little bit. So, Nero being the first character, so it's kind of like your training character that you get to practice on using the new system, which is the Devil Breakers, or his prosthetic arms, that each have unique sets of abilities, sort of. They do offer a wide variety of these Devil Breaker arms. Each has their own thing that they do, I guess. Some are better, well actually some are much better than others, that you can use. They're kind of like, so the beginning of the game, which I'm sure you've all seen the cutscene, that a mysterious figure rips off Nero's Devil Breaker arm, and in place Nico, which is the game's kind of like shop, sort of, to upgrade all your stuff, makes these arms for you. And you get them pretty rapidly. Each boss unlocks, you pick up a piece of items or whatever, and then she can make something out of it, and you get a new arm. What I do not like about the way the system is set up currently is that there is no way to interchange the arms to use the arms that you would prefer, or some that are better than others. The only way to access the other arms is to either use the power by holding down the circle button and releasing its, grand power, or using it enough where you would deplete the power, and then it breaks, and then the next one is loaded in. Unfortunately, the way the system is set up, it kind of stinks because, like I said, there are arms that are better than other arms, and when you use them, it's kind of, basically you have to burn through them. There is a way, if you hit L1, to break it off, but then you're out an arm and you only have so many that you can carry. I think it's a maximum of 7 that you can purchase. Start off with 3, and then you can utilize them per the stage. There are points where you can use the phone to call, and there's like little pay booths and that you can call, and Nico will show up in these unique ways out of nowhere somehow, and she'll just pop up, the van somehow will end up being there in some ridiculous way, but some of them are funny, so it's kind of ridiculous, but it's still funny. Nero is a character that I, at least right now, from the beginning of gameplay, my least favorite to play. He's the hardest to chain anything together, so it just makes it difficult. This is V on the screen. This is the second character that you get to play as. He kind of shows up on the scene mysteriously. You don't really get much of a backstory. He does come with a sort of devil trigger that you are seeing currently, where his hair turns white for some reason, and he summons this Inferno Titan thing that you're seeing on the screen, this big giant beast there. V is definitely my second favorite character, simply because he, for the most part, is very easy to use. He's a character that is very straightforward. You only get basically 2 buttons to work with. 3 when you summon the Inferno, and you can hit circle or jump on its back and do something there. So that's kind of cool, but for the most part, he's pretty easy to get the Stylish meter up. They do his pets, which is the Griffin and the Panther, do attack multiple enemies at once, so it makes it very simple to chain together things. That being said, he's kind of like, as you can see, for the most part, you just run around and avoid damage. He does have a side step that you can use, and the other thing is that he has to finish the attacks with his cane. So your summon pets cannot finish the enemies completely, so you have to basically warp in, hit him with a cane, and then, like that, kill it. So he's very simple to use. Unfortunately, because of the button combinations, it's kind of, maybe can get repetitive for people. There is a certain way the game is set up where if you tilt the D-pad in a certain direction, it would trigger, like, or it's supposed to trigger different actions. And another thing is the way that the game is set up is that if you hit either triangle or square in a certain pattern and not just tap it over and over again, they will do different things. The unfortunate part is that it's kind of hard to figure that out. When you are in the battle, you know, there's one that if you hit triangle and then pause and then triangle, it'll do something else. But like if you're trying to use both of the pets at once, it makes it difficult to be able to alter. You know, if you're hitting square repeatedly, which is what you're seeing, you know, you can't, your other, you know, using your thumb, it makes it hard where you can pause and then, or tap it twice and then pause and then tap. So here you have the arrival of Dante, which is by far my most favorite character in the game. He is incredibly versatile. At some point it almost feels too versatile because of how many different movesets he has, and each is altered by the styles that he can use while using the certain weapon. So right here you're seeing the Bullrog fist weapon and feet weapon. At this current point of the game, you get to use the sword Sparta and the Bullrog. So you do get to unlock other weapons at a pretty fast pace, just like in the previous games. If you beat bosses or whatnot, then it unlocks something else, or you pick it up by finding the item. He does have an array of ranged weapons, such as his gun. He has the ebony and ivory like he always did, and the shotgun that you start off with. So the guns are kind of basically there, at least right now, to hold the style meter. It's really, at least from what I'm seeing, the most they do, you can charge them up and they'll do somewhat damage, but again, it's just really to hold the style meter so it drops down, so it doesn't drop down too much. He is definitely one of the faster characters. I do favor, at least at this point in the game, the fist and feet weapon, the Bullrog that you're seeing, simply because it has a lot of options and hits like a freaking freight train. I do use a sword in some of the other gameplay, but without unlocking some of the sword skills, the sword play is somewhat dull. There's not a whole lot you can do, you know, it's the same thing, jumping up, slashing. Yeah, there's one other move that I unlock in a little bit that extends that sword thing, but the fist weapon is very easy to bring up that style meter, and in Devil May Cry fashion, to get those higher style meters, it gets the more orbs to drop, and then you can get a better ranking at the end of the stage, and that gives you more orbs as well. So, the game as a whole probably is my favorite out of the series. The graphics in this game are unbelievable. Like, I take a game like Anthem that just had come out and had like 6 years of development, and then this game comes along using a different engine, and the graphics look way better than Anthem. It's lengthwise about even the same as Anthem, if not longer, at least with the swordplay missions. I have put quite a bit of time into the game to get the footage that you're seeing, because fortunately I'm not big enough to get the advanced copies that some other YouTubers are getting. However, I still wanted to get it out because I thoroughly enjoy this game. I do think it is a lot of fun to play. The things that you can do in the game definitely test your ability to move around, you know, be able to not necessarily button mash, because it doesn't want you to necessarily button mash, but it's kind of what it is. You are kind of button mashing in different directions with the D-pad to make it do something different. And each style will use that differently. The circle button is the button that you use for the special moves in Dante's kit. So with the Gunslinger and the Royal Guard and the swords, the swordplay and whatnot, each one does something different when using the circle button. It is kind of your universal special move type deal. So if I had to currently rate the game, it's like I said, definitely better, in my opinion, better than the other Devil May Cry games. Obviously, it's been over 10 years since the last true installment, so, you know, with this current gen console, it does make it easier to be able to do more and make it look better. But I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. I think it is justified. The game is very pleasing to look at. The cutscenes can be somewhat ridiculous sometimes, but definitely cool to look at. It's definitely a true installment. Everything that you would expect out of a Devil May Cry game. So, in my opinion, it is worth the investment. The only, and I wouldn't even necessarily say negative things, they're kind of blemishes, would be the stage design can get a little boring. It's basically, they all look the same, it's all crumbling waste, and some of it, when you're in the demon world, all looks completely the same. It's just that dreary, dark, drab kind of look, and I know that in past Devil May Cry games you kind of got the same thing, but this just feels just a little bit repetitive with the stage design. And the only other thing that I can really gripe about is the other characters not having the mobility, I guess, with the amount of things that you can use in their kit. Dante being the one that stands out, but, and maybe that's good because Dante is my favorite character to play as, but it is something that, you know, it would be nice to see on the other characters, because you do have to play as the other characters at some point in this game. So, I do think it's worth it. If you like this style of game, it is definitely a game that you will enjoy. With that said, if you like what I had to say, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And until next time, I will leave the rest of this gameplay playing so you can see the end. And I will talk to you guys on the next game review. Peace out.
Yeah.